Support for this podcast comes from St. Alphonsus Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Clinics, with physicians, physical therapists, and trainers who treat sports and performance-related injuries, with locations across the valley. More information on services and locations at stalphonsus.org/stayactive.
From Boise State Public Radio, this is The Connector. It's Idaho's Daily News. Good morning. I'm George Prentice. Today we want to tell you about a special event scheduled for tomorrow in Boise, the 9/11 Miles of Remembrance Run. We've got details on the new federal law that eliminates federal taxes on workers' tips. And we'll tell you about a sharp increase in the Boise School District's property tax rate. It is Wednesday, the 10th of September, and here we go with today's stories. A Boise family, which lost one of their own in a Wyoming plane crash on Labor Day, is continuing to recover. Their small private plane crashed in the Bighorn Mountains near Sheridan, Wyoming, last week. 13-year-old Amelia Palmer was killed in the crash. Her father, Earl Palmer, remains hospitalized. His wife, Cindy, and their son, Aaron, have been released from the hospital. Amelia Palmer was to begin 8th grade this year, and the Idaho Press is reporting that a therapy dog has been brought into West Junior High in Boise to try to bring some comfort to the young men and women who would have been her classmates. And those students at West Junior High decided to decorate what would have been Amelia's locker. On the fire watch, Idaho firefighters are welcoming this week's precipitation. They've made great progress on the rock fire, which has burned nearly 2,800 acres southwest of Donnelly. There are still about 260 firefighters on the scene there. It is 92% contained. And we got word Tuesday that an Idaho firefighter has died while fighting a wildfire in Arizona. Hank Hester of Priest River, Idaho, was on the scene of the Dragon Bravo fire near the Grand Canyon. Officials there say he suffered a cardiac emergency and resuscitation attempts were not successful. An investigation is being conducted by the National Park Service. Tomorrow, Thursday, is September 11th, 9/11, which means the return of the 9/11 Miles of Remembrance Run in Boise. One of the organizers is Dan McGurky.
I'd like to say there's two purposes behind this event. The first is to reflect and remember those who lost their lives on 9/11, both first responders and civilians alike, as well as their families. And also, more proximate, I think, to many of us is those who lost their lives or served otherwise subsequently in the global war on terror and the families and the sacrifices that they made.
Thursday's event begins in Ann Morrison Park. The run goes through the park out onto Americana Boulevard to the Boise Greenbelt, past the Firefighters Memorial, all the way down to the Anne Frank Memorial, then back onto the Greenbelt and back to Ann Morrison Park. It takes place tomorrow, 5 to 8 p.m., and they're expecting about 3,000 participants this year. And now to the new law that eliminates federal taxes on workers' tips. Resort communities here in Idaho and beyond will be paying very close attention, as Yvette Fernandez reports.
The provision has a cap of $25,000, meaning tipped workers can only deduct up to that amount from their income tax. Todd Cox, an accountant in the tourist mecca of Las Vegas, says the savings can be significant.
Make sure your employer is filing your W-2 properly and make sure that you're utilizing all of the deductions that you're eligible for, because it can be a really big benefit to you and translate into thousands of dollars of tax savings.
The Trump-backed deduction remains in effect through 2028. For the Mountain West News Bureau, I'm Yvette Fernandez.
This week, the Boise School District approved a sharp increase in the school property tax rate. Julie Lucata has details.
The Boise School District will collect $156 million in taxes in 2025, or $30 million more than last year. District Chief Financial Officer Sheila Kessel says the funds will be used for existing programs like early learning centers and increased school staff support.
The additional is necessary this school year to maintain the programs that we have in place, such as all-day kindergarten, providing breakfast free to all students.
Last week, the House Appropriations Subcommittee for Education and Related Agencies in Washington, D.C. cut $67 billion from the Department of Education. Boise trustee David Wagers.
We spend those dollars wisely, but we also sometimes need a few more dollars, especially as we're seeing less money come from, I would say, state and federal entities.
The $30 million increase means an additional $51 cost to taxpayers per $100,000 of assessed property value. It was unanimously approved by the board. Julie Buqueta, Boise State Public Radio News.
And that is today's episode of The Connector. I'm George Prentice. We'll see you back here on Thursday. Tell your friends about The Connector and tell them how easy it is to find us. Download The Connector wherever you find podcasts. Download The Connector wherever you find podcasts, or find us at boisestatepublicradio.org or on the Boise State Public Radio app. And thanks for listening.
It's rare to find a podcast that can actually change your life. But when the show's called Life Kit, that's kind of the whole point. I'm Marielle Segarra. 3 times a week on the Life Kit podcast, we guide you through a topic we could all use help with, from personal development to healthy living to managing your dinero, with takeaways so you can start living what you learn right away. Escucha el Life Kit podcast from NPR.